recapping yesterday's World Cup cricket final between England and New Zealand played at Lord's. And you know, small margins can decide matches of this nature, and officials are under tremendous pressure to get every call correct. The decision to award 6 runs to England in the final over when Ben Stokes inadvertently deflected the ball to the boundary is one such example. 5-time ICC Umpire of the Year Simon Taufel, an Australian, says 5 runs should have been given instead of the 6. It's clear, he said, a mistake was made. It's an error of judgment. England should have been awarded 5 runs, not 6. The judgment error was the timing of when the fielder threw the ball. The act of the overthrow starts when the fielder releases the ball. That's the act. It becomes an overthrow from the instant of the throw. Now, if the boundary results from an overthrow or from the willful act of a fielder, the runs scored shall be any runs for penalties awarded to either side or the allowance for the boundary. And the runs, here's the law, completed by the batsmen together with the run in progress if they had already crossed at the instant of the throw or the act. Now, at the time that we were watching it, there was no complaint or questioning of what happened by the commentary panel on TV. I'm not sure what the radio commentators picked up. This story, though, surfaced several hours after the end of the game, so it appeared to miss everyone. But in hindsight now, this has to be a really contentious issue because it could have changed the outcome of the game.
If this were Australia, who were on the losing end and on the receiving end of this decision, I could see them going to the Court of Arbitration for Sport if it took that. They'd be appealing the decision of the World Cup final because...
And you're singling Australia.
Yeah, because I'm talking about a country that has a mentality where winning is everything. I'm not talking about a genteel, collegiate nation such as New Zealand, where, you know, okay, we lost.
Very gracious in defeat, I must add.
Exactly.
New Zealand, yes. Given everything that happened.
So not New Zealand. The Australians, I'm sure, and this India under Virat Kohli, I think they also would have protested and they'd have solid grounds.
If the tables were turned?
No, I don't think so. The English,
I think they would have.
Not given their nature, because they would have, the fans would have complained about it. The talking heads would have maybe complained about it, but I don't think it's in the English nature to go and say, you know, this happened. But the Aussies for sure, maybe India, and I think they'd have solid grounds to appeal on.
Yeah, very, very interesting that even in the post-match press conferences, because I think this story developed way after the immediate post-match press conference on the field and the post-match press conference in the Lord's rooms there where they were having the press conferences. But even the reaction that we are getting, as George is saying, from New Zealand, very, very calm. Kane Williamson, there were so many issues, so many pivotal moments in this match that were unfortunate for New Zealand, that Kane Williamson could easily, as a captain, take a completely different stance in his recap of what happened.
A team's reputation counts for much, and that's why by reputation the New Zealanders wouldn't have protested. The Aussies certainly, as I said, and the Americans, if the USA played cricket, oh, for sure, they would be going through the documents with their lawyers, how we should appeal. Well, here's the thing. I am not just saying this post the match, but in an instance where you have the overthrows, you have the ball strike the bat, the ball goes to the boundary in such a pivotal situation, I see no reason why, as a matter of course, the officials on the field should not say, okay, gentlemen, hold on, let us go upstairs and ask our TV guys to review, to confirm that the crossing was done by the batsmen and so forth before we say, 6 runs or 5 runs or 4 runs or how many ever runs. I think that should have been a matter of course, and it's not just because of what has happened post-game, but I think it's a matter of course. In a circumstance such as that, in a pressure situation such as that, the on-field umpires should ensure that there's no reason to point the finger of blame at them, and that they should have gone upstairs to their colleagues to ensure that what they ruled on the field was actually what happened in the run of play. And
that's true, especially because so many times we use technology for that, to be checking back decisions and whatnot. And the thing is, I wanted to say, you know, we're not pressuring the umpires, because I know at that heat in the moment, you know, they have to look at the fielders, they have to look at the ball, the batsman, to make sure everything was done appropriately. But a simple thing as checking back is something.
But I'm pressuring them though, because I'm saying that unless anybody who was umpired at the test level before can tell me at the highest level, rather, internationally, can tell me that what happened yesterday was impossible for the umpires to have picked up, or I don't want to say onerously difficult, but excessively difficult. It was a complicated set of circumstances, so the umpires on the field could not. If someone credible can tell me that, then I'd concede. But I would say that what happened yesterday wasn't outside the scope of the two umpires standing to have checked to ensure that the crossing actually had been done. And that's why I'm saying, if it is that they felt that it would have stretched them too much given the various inputs into the overall circumstance, then they could have asked their friends upstairs to assist them.
I'm okay with that too.
Might I say that the soft center of this England team and the nature of this England team is to be commended. And I say that as one who questioned that at the start of the tournament. And, you know, people will say, well, see, oh yeah, you got it wrong where they are concerned. Even the English didn't believe that they would have pulled it off. Because on the eve of this game, Owen Morgan said that Sunday is not the time to hide behind the sofa. It's not the time to hide in a dark room and wait until the result is over and ask someone. He wanted the England fans to be confident going in because he knew that, like me, they were saying our team always finds a way to cock it up. It was a monumentally brave decision, team, for Owen Morgan to have given that ball to Jofra Archer, a veteran of 3 ODIs before the World Cup. He had guys with bags of experience in the team before he gave the young Barbadian-born Jofra Archer the ball. There was a contentious tweet from a Conservative MP in Britain, Jacob Rees-Mogg, he heads the ERG, the European Research Group, who said that the result of the World Cup final proved that Britain didn't need that Britain didn't need Europe, a Brexit champion. And the responses were fired off because here's a team, England, coached by an Australian, Trevor Bayliss, with men, at least 5 men in it, who weren't born in England. Jason Roy is from South Africa. Ben Stokes was born in New Zealand. Jofra Archer was born in Barbados. Curran and others. Right, so 5, Owen Morgan, the captain, born in Ireland. Then you had, apart from the 5 men who were born outside of England and the Australian coach, this is an England team that had 2 men, Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali, who are the sons of immigrants in the team. So it was an international, multinational team that helped England to create history. And it has to say something about integration in England and has broader meaning in the political context for something that has occupied so much energy and minds and time in England that it took a multinational team to take them over the hump and give them that World Cup final.
Yeah, and Owen Morgan spoke about that in his post-match comments to the media as well. To New Zealand's credit, they produced the player of the series, Kane Williamson, who was brilliant with the bat. For the Black Caps for sure. 578 runs. He scored a highest score of 148 with an impressive average of 82.57. I think Shakib Al Hassan, the Bangladeshi all-rounder, is the only batsman that had a superior batting average. But wonderful performance by Kane Williamson. When we were previewing the match on Friday, George, we did agree that this was a very, very special player who had the tools to lead New Zealand to an upset victory in the World Cup final, which he almost achieved.
Yeah. 2
scores below 30 in the entire tournament. Everything else, well, 2 scores below 40 rather. He had 30 in the final and he had another sub 40 score in the tournament. Beyond that, a dependable guy with the bat. You could see his brain working in the field. And I know people draw contrast between what Kane Williamson does for New Zealand and our own Jason Holder, but come on people, Jason Holder's resources, playing resources, and the people he has to call upon aren't at the same caliber up here as those that Kane Williamson has to call upon, so that's an unfair comparison. But this is a guy who hasn't really put a foot wrong in a tournament, and he goes home with the silver medal.
Tremendous player, Kane Williamson. Of course, we have seen him here in the CPL before, and globally, this is a true cricket genius for New Zealand, a country that has had just a few in history that we would label in the genius level.
Yeah, you know, last thing to make, the number of people who watched this World Cup, I think it's significant for us to mention that the viewership peaked at around 8 million for the Super Over. And if you were to take people who are watching from start to finish, was 4.5 million. Crucially, those numbers don't include people who are watching on their mobile phone or in bars or in other public places. It was just people watching on television, 4.5 million throughout, 8 million peak. That's a brilliant thing to happen for England, because the generation, those boys and girls, 12 and under, or even 14 and under, would have seen the nation do something that people, cricket fans in England rather, had never seen before. And that not since the '66 World Cup, when England won a meaningful World Cup, the Football World Cup, have they seen the nation triumph this way. It does a lot for the next generation. And if you think that's an insignificant point, look at the resources available to the West Indies in terms of playing resources and the quality of players coming through, and you'll realize why the next generation needs something and someone to motivate them.
Yeah.